Right, let's look now at the Maltese capital, Valletta. The EU leaders are gathering for their first summit of the year, 2 days after the British Parliament voted overwhelmingly to start the process of Brexit. Prime Minister Theresa May will be holding one-on-one talks with various EU leaders. So what is she up against?
Well, she's up against a lot, isn't she? Malta holds the rotating presidency of the EU, and that bloke right there, the Prime Minister, the Maltese Prime Minister, Joseph Muscat, he's been clear. Britain can't have its cake and eat it. In fact, he's told the European Parliament, we want a fair deal for the United Kingdom, but that deal necessarily needs to be inferior to membership.
There's also a huge time pressure. Assuming Britain formally gives its 2-year leaving notice next month, known as triggering Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty, Mr Muscat says they must agree a Brexit deal by October. That's so it is time to be ratified by member states and the European Parliament before the UK is formally out.
Then there's the small matter of this. Coming up, there you go, look at that. Because that could be the UK's bill for quitting the EU. As much as 60 billion euros is what Britain could possibly owe. This is now, I say this is according to some in Europe, but they're taking into account Britain's share of budget commitments, pensions spending, UK-based projects, things like that. But that budget, that bill, if you will, is going to be a lot of wrangling around that indeed. Let's get more. Thomas Cole joins us. Thomas, and I've got to read it here. Thomas, you're an independent international political analyst.
Indeed, correct. Thanks.
And a former European Commission policy officer.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, great to have you with us. We're going to talk about Brexit very shortly, but they're going to be discussing all sorts of things,
exactly,
including President Trump. In what way, or is there a way that President Trump could be a threat to the EU?
Well, I think we've seen President Trump's comments. Prior to his inauguration, since his inauguration, he's been saying that since Brexit, he thinks and perhaps even might want other countries to leave the EU. So, of course, there's a certain fear amongst EU member states that after the UK leaving, with electoral challenges coming up in countries like the Netherlands, France, and Germany, there's a certain fear about that. So, yes, of course, they are concerned, and we saw this manifested earlier in the week in President Donald Tusk, the other Donald, President of the European Council, in his statement, basically saying to the European leaders, "United we stand, divided we fall." So there's a lot at stake right now. As one of the things, the future of the EU, which will be discussed at the afternoon session of today's meeting.
Wow.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, because the UK Prime Minister Theresa May, she'll be there this morning, but then she leaves at lunchtime, and in the afternoon, the 27 states are going to discuss the future of the EU. What do you think is going to be on the agenda?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, there's actually this morning's session, the afternoon session, in many ways inextricably interlinked. This morning's session is on migration, especially the Libya to Italy and Malta route. In fact, yesterday the Libyan Prime Minister had talks both with Donald Tusk as well as the Italian Prime Minister. So he talks there to see how they can improve cooperation with the Libyans on the ground, and also with stopping irregular migration flows. Of course, we know that irregular migration has, of course, been an issue in many European election campaigns, and also in the Brexit referendum last year. So that brings us on to this issue of the future of the EU, how to take things forward. Donald Tusk essentially saying to all EU leaders of the EU 27 in the afternoon, because Theresa May won't be there, we need to take a firm stance. We have multiple problems. We have the migration crisis. We have Russia. We have a US administration, which we're not really sure where we're going with that. Yeah. We have radical terrorism, populism. All these issues. We need to take a stance here.
Can I just get this in? Because they can all very well sit there and all these leaders and do the talking, but the people in their respective countries may do the talking for them, and they may not be the leaders anymore, right? And
that's a very, very good point.
And that's the issue that they've got to be facing. Netherlands, France, the elections, German elections.
Exactly. I mean, essentially, if we go back to 2007, the 50th anniversary of the founding of what was the European Coal and Steel Community, which then became the EU. I think back in 2007, no one would have said then 10 years on we'll be facing all the crises now. The financial crisis, the economic, the social, and of course now we're facing the political crisis. And this is something that all EU leaders will be aware of. So, yes, they may well come up with some ideas and suggestions about how to tackle migration, how to take the EU forward. But at the end of the day, a lot of them will be very concerned about domestic electoral issues closer to home.
Yeah, and if they've got a job or not, right? Yeah. Exactly. Thomas, we appreciate your time. Thanks. I know you're going to keep it because we'll talk to you soon. This story's not going away too fast. Thomas Cole.